All right, this topic is about finding your path. My path was finding my connection to God more. Um, three things I don't believe in. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in marriage. I don't believe in laws. I can say I don't believe in slave religion, slave marriage, or slave laws. We've been programmed to think a certain way. You have to deprogram yourself and reprogram yourself. And you got to ask what's important, heaven laws or earth laws? Heaven marriage or earth marriage? If you don't sign a piece of paper, you're not allowed to call yourself a husband or a wife. But in God's eyes, when you cross the threshold of a goddess, gentlemen, you have a union. You have a commitment. Period. Period. We have a union no matter what because we're all God's children. We're all brothers and sisters. The commitment is to respect that. To respect that. But when you get to meet somebody, you get to meet yourself in that somebody, God's watching you. Once you watch somebody based on how they treat your child, God is always watching. He knows your thoughts. Forget what your words say. God don't care about man-made words. Man-made words is to speak to other men, other human beings. Half the time they lies. We don't speak our true words, our true thoughts. You got to ask yourself when it comes to religion, okay? And you got to, is it God, right? That's what it's supposed to be about. But religion itself, is it right or is it wrong? Some of the things religion's done, I would never put in the name of my God. I would never blame what man has done or say in the name of God. That's already a sin. Marriage, come on. Every marriage is different. And if you choose not to get married on earth, but you got to understand, you still have a union commitment with that individual, regardless if you have a child or not. Respect God's children, period. Laws, black men were the second people to get voting rights. As any black man, has laws been made in the essence and the favoritism of us. See, laws was created and drawn up in something else and created privilege. You got to ask yourself, privilege and pride. Pride is something you earn. It ain't going to be quickly given away. When you work hard for something, you're not going to give it away. Privilege, my father's name, my name and my father, is given away so easily. And sometimes things is given, is it worth taking? And then the question is, how was it even got? Because if it was by pride, come on. I was in the Eastwood Mall today, and I was looking at the history of our area. Not one thing up there about a black person. Not one thing about a black person up there. And we just found in 2020 our history books are a lie. We always knew that. We just finally admitted it, and we still don't want to admit to it out loud. That's why the statue is coming down. But we have to admit to ourselves, you can't change the whole world. You got to start with yourself. Find yourself. What connects you more to God? Don't look at religion. If I believe my God, believe in religion, I believe my God is retarded. He's listening to me right now, even as I very say it now. He wants to know what is my intent behind it. What I mean by this, we run from Jehovah. Catholic can't sin Christian, Christians can't sin in Catholic, and every other denomination have issues with each other. As far as I believe, we speak to one high power. I believe it's something bigger than us. I have to believe it's more than this, than what's on earth, hell. Everything outside of heaven's gate is hell. The biggest trick the devil ever played, he changed hell into earth. If you get content and happy on earth and use that privilege, it ain't gonna get you nowhere in heaven. Don't take another man's sin on and make it yours, because at the end of the day, when you stand in front of heaven's gate, that person's sin you took on, they ain't gonna be standing there beside you. How are you gonna answer for it? Another person's ignorance. God don't like ignorance. God don't like ugly. He kicked the devil out. Lucifer was Lucifer, but he did devilish things and got kicked out of heaven. God don't like the devil. The devil is a mentality. No different than hood mentality, Trailer park trash mentality, suburb mentality, man mentality. Understand the mentality. Don't have the devil's mentality. When you know something's wrong, but yet you stand behind it, you take on that. You take on that sin. When you know something, when you try to admit that it isn't out there, it isn't happening. The only way we're going to ever change this racist world is by admitting to the sins that's already happening right in front of us. When we can't, God knows we know the right thing. God knows how you feel, but you choose to ignore that thought, you ignore God. Because if that thought is in your mind, but you say something else, no, it's not happening. That doesn't happen. Come on. I just went through something the other day. Oh my God, racism is so ugly. It makes you mentally, emotionally, and physically feel a certain way. Undeniable. And even if you don't want to admit to it out loud, God knows how you feel. God knows how you feel. Question is, are you going to admit to it? You got to understand. God don't want us to be live to a false God. No. You don't want to live to a false God. Right now, we may live good on earth. But if it ain't right, it ain't right. Okay? And when it takes us away from Jesus, God, that essence, I don't even know God is a man. They program us to think he is. Okay? I just believe in something greater than myself. And I give it every bit of appreciation. I am so happy, so thankful. I wake up every morning breathing. I'm so happy that I can connect myself with my thoughts and think about it and the wisdom that comes from it. I thank God for that. I truly believe in that. My mother is truly a goddess. My mother walked through rain, hail, and snow to take care of me. I could never look down on her. Her name is Darlene Freeman. I do carry a little bit of animosity. I can't stand the city for the way they treated my mother. God knows, I'm admitting out loud. People are too scared to come up and speak to me. I don't got time for that. They have to deal with their own sins and their own thoughts. It's not for me to satisfy them. It's not for me to make them feel comfortable. I don't care that Mr. Rogers Hood smile, greeting everybody. You want to speak to me, you speak to me. If you can't, you deal with your own ghosts. But like I said, to find yourself, you got to reprogram yourself. You got to deprogram yourself to reprogram yourself. And deprogramming yourself, you got to admit to the things that got you programmed. Any little, it's not for you to judge. Privilege judge. Pride understands what it takes to get what you have in every aspect, not just on a materialistic base, physically, but mentally, emotionally. To sit there and take somebody positive and turn it negative, that's the mentality of the devil. God don't like the devil. Remember that. Try to understand. Everybody listen to the exact same thing. The question I always ask, what do you hear? Everybody has an LD problem. They all got a learning disability. Society is a learning disability. We just learn differently. And then understand that difference in you. And learn how to use that difference. God learns from you. What are you teaching God? What are you teaching God? I recognize the false God. I denounce it. I understand I have to live through it and in it and obey by it to survive in it. God wants us to live our best life on earth and hell. But if we get fooled to the point where we think that's it, man, he ain't higher, he ain't nothing there, how would you feel? We're all nothing but babysitters of God's children. If we do a correct job, that child will call us father or mother. I pray to God when I'm standing in front of God that he deems me to be a good father to all his children. Any child that came in my energy, my essence. God knows I will protect it. I ain't his father. I will babysit it just like it's my child or somebody else's child. I will babysit it because it's God's child. I understand that. Humble yourself. It ain't about I'm the daddy. Yeah. I'm the mama. I understand that. The seed of a man is like the blood of God. The flesh of a woman is the rib of God. And a female is that goddess on earth. God is saying how we treat her before we can ever bow down in front of him. We got to bow down for a goddess and his children. Me saying we ain't nothing but babysitters of God's children, that's me bowing down and serving every one of his children. Every female on earth is a goddess. They're a goddess. I don't want shit to do with the man in them. And God knows that. I understand and respect the man in them. They got it. They're in hell. They need something tough. The male in them, they need to survive. If we ain't there for them, they need to survive. They need to be tough, handle it. They got man in them. But when they find that angel that they willing to submit the goddess to, that lady to a gentleman, not a woman to a man. That's why men and women are always at odds. But a lady and a gentleman, they have an understanding, a loyalty to one another. They know what we've been through. Each of us. I know what she's been through. She know what I've been through. I've been many different men. Every woman that came in my life brought out a different type of man in me. And I don't want none of them. It's too much work. I carry myself as a gentleman. I'm looking for a lady. I'm patiently waiting. Man don't got patience to wait. A gentleman waits. And God will send. I'm not starving. God always makes sure he feeds me. If God thought sex was bad, why would he give a woman 8,000 to 15,000 nerve endings inside something of a pinky, tip of a pinky? When a woman is not bleeding the blood of God, when she's not pregnant with the child of God, she has to let that power off of God. That's why she's multi-orgasm. Understand that. When a woman don't release that mentally, emotionally, she'll carry extra body weight, depression, stress, turn to drugs, because her mental and emotion are exploding in her. That's why I try to tell a female, never submit to a man. He's not going to take care of your mental and emotion. That is your woo and your fee. The only time your woo and your fee get addressed is when your woo and your fee transcend into the lady of you. Once it transcends into the lady of you, you found that man to give your man and mill up to, and then you allow it to hibernate in your woo and your fee. Within that lady, a gentleman will address that mental and emotional. We all know that a 5-year-old girl is always more mature. We all know that female is more emotionally sound. They give birth in emotions. They lose abortions and miscarriage. That's an emotional. Physically, they still outdo us. Anything that can bleed for 7 days, carry a child for 9 months, and live through a birth, like I said, they may not be God, but they're a goddess. They're a distance of God. They come from God's rib. But what you do got to understand is they are the alphas. We ain't mentally, emotionally, or physically strong enough to do what a goddess does on this earth. Without that goddess, we would not exist. But everything I'm saying is what helped me find myself. I have to submit and admit what's greater than me before I can even bow down in front of God. As I stated, I don't want nothing to do with the woman. I understand and respect her. We're on the battlefield together. Hats off. I look for that lady. I'm not ready to fight a woman in any form, mentally, emotionally, or physically. My man in me can't sustain that. Her woo would dominate me. Even in my male perspective, a woman comes out practicing both parts of her. She's a creature of two. She's the fee in the male. She's the woo in the man. While we practice one part of ourselves, male, boy, man, only one. The only time we start practicing us as a creature too is when we become a gentleman. Gentlemen. And that gentle is the only way we can dominate or even equalize the woo and the fee. That's the lady. The men in us don't have nothing attached to the lady. The lady don't have no man in her, don't got no male. The men in us is the protector still. Gentlemen. The goddess gets the gentleness. God's child. God, reaching out anytime, can take. Then he goes to the woman. Position of a man. If he chooses to still face earth, he's the man. Once he turns and bows, before he can bow for God, He has to bow for a lady, the child, then God. If he don't know that position, he will never make it through heaven's gate. He will never make it through heaven's gate. We got to find something greater than ourselves on earth if we were going to even attempt to go to heaven's gate. I truly believe that. All God's children, not his child, not her child, they're God's children. All females are goddesses. Even if a female could never bear a child, if she bled for 7 days, she's a goddess. Transgenders, you can go get a cut, snip, sew, and everything else. You can look like a woman. You can feel like a woman, but until you bleed for 7 days, first, and to carry a child for 9 months, second, and live through a birth, 3, you ain't no woman. God don't care about your physical form, so hats off to you. Do what you choose to do, whatever makes you feel comfortable and be able to live in hell. It's not for me to judge. It's not for me to judge. That's any level. Whatever you choose to do. If you find comfort in something that's like yourself, hats off to you. You do you. You find yourself in someone else. Be blessed.